Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome here to the Pit Pass Network ARCA series. My name is Robert Hill Jr. Joining me tonight, as always, is Wyatt Knadle. And tonight, Wyatt, we are here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway for the Charlotte 150. How you doing tonight, first off, Wyatt?
Man, I'm doing pretty good. A little broken down from a late race incident last night. My body's a little sore, but we're good. You know what? This is going to be a whole different, I think, style of racing we're going to see tonight as these guys try and figure out these cars.
Yeah, we did have a new iRacing build today, so some things definitely changed for these guys. Gonna have to get used to it. Out here at Charlotte, 76 degrees Fahrenheit is the ambient temperature. Track temperature not too much warmer at 78, 51% relative humidity, and 12 miles per hour is the wind with partly cloudy skies here tonight. Qualifying just wrapped up. It is Jay Kaner on the pole. And we'll take a quick look at the points before we get things underway here tonight. Chris Wright, your points leader by 15 points over Ethan Stanley. Hunter Smith there in third with 156 points. Mark Murphy, 149. William White, 147. You see Jess Story, Ray Bracey. Trey Eidson not here. Michael Hosek, Jesse Rasmus also not here. And the likes of Jordan Owens, Dave Carpenter, and our pole sitter, Jay Kaner, just outside the top 10. Our race format tonight, Wyatt, 100 laps, no stages, and we do have 4 sets of tires, so that is 1 set on the cars and 3 on pit road as you see the field lined up. I love how they grid here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway, angled out towards the crowd. You can see all these guys hanging out in their relative spots on or respective spots on the grid. It does look like Harrison Talon and Ethan Harrison both will miss the starting grid, but we'll take a look at the starting grid now here. Wyatt, Jay Kaner, like we mentioned on the pole. Michael Hosek, P2, heck of a drive by him in qualifying. William White, Jordan Owens, row number 2. Ray Bracey, Jess Story, row number 3. Trey Holmes making his, I believe, his second start of the season here tonight. He did qualify in 7th, but he will fall to the rear of the field due to a banner violation. Hunter Smith there in P number 8. Justin Vandermarl, another one going to the rear, as well as Ethan Stanley up inside the top 10. We did just extend the caution to allow these guys to fall through the back. Why don't you walk us through P11 through 20?
Most definitely in 11th place starting tonight. Obviously going to move up. Brent Jones, outside of him, Mark Murphy. Mark Rabilis in 13th. Robert Higgins in 14th. Cash James in the 15th spot. David Carpenter and Brandon Ultra. Rory Collins, Chris Wright, and Michael Goodman round out the top 20.
Rounding out your field here tonight of 26 is Christopher Paff, Jacob Adams there 21st, 22nd, Josh Personette in 23rd, Harrison Talon, as we mentioned, will start on pit road, but he did qualify 24th here tonight. Mark Keeler and Ethan Harrison rounding out the field of 26 that we will have starting the event tonight. Looks like your EOLs on the start here are Trey Holmes, Justin Vandermarl, Jacob Adams, Cash James, Josh Personette, Mark Keeler, and Dave Carpenter, as the lights are off on the iRacing.com pace car machine as we get set to do battle here for 100 laps around this Charlotte Motor Speedway. Wyatt, obviously a little bit of changes in this ARCA car here tonight with the new build, but what can we expect around Charlotte Motor Speedway based off some of your past experience here?
Well, that's going to be tough to say, man. I was watching these guys in practice, and these cars, based on my experience, look completely different as far as how I've driven this car in the past. It was a lot of on-throttle time. I think here we're going to see a lot of off-throttle time. We're going to see a lot of fighting the wheel, whereas you didn't see a whole lot of that until kind of exit in the past. Now it seems like these guys are fighting the steering wheels all the way through the corner from entry all the way to exit. And I think we're going to see a lot of just slide jobs. I think we're going to have to see some sort of aggressiveness to not stay side by side because these cars are not handling great tonight.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting as we do see the iRacing.com pace car take that turn down to pit road. You see the Geico restart zone there. That is active this evening, so we'll have to see how these guys do. Green flag in the air. Here comes the field to get us going here. Lap 1 of 100 as Jay Kaner leads the field down into turn number 1. William Wyatt is able to clear the Michael Hossack machine. Hossack now falling back to Jordan Owens and Ray Bracey. Ray running a new scheme here tonight. Looks like his cat. It is indeed his cat on the Ray Bracey number 7 machine. Ray is... Oh, Jordan Owens, big wreck.
Oh, and there's our points leader, too. I believe you're the second place position of points. Ethan Stanley got turned around.
Ethan Stanley involved in that one. We look a little bit further back. Does look like Mark Murphy was involved. Brent Jones also involved. Let's take a look on the Robiles Photography replay machine here in just a moment to see what has happened. It did start with Jordan Owens, I do believe, but let's pull this up on the replay machine now and watch that 26 of Jordan Owens up on the outside of Ray Bracey in the 7 car. You see the rear end just steps around on Jordan. Around he goes. Jess Story, Hunter Smith, Ethan Stanley, Brett Jones, all involved in this one. I think Cash James might have just got a very tiny piece of this. Yeah, he may have just had a little bit too much braking in that number 23, sent him around on the front straightaway, but no real contact for him. I do think everyone should be able to continue on. Jordan Owens is hitting pit road under his own power here, which is a very good sight to see. So nice to see Jordan still running there. Jess Story, Dave Carpenter are on pit road. Ethan Harrison did not take the green flag tonight. Harrison Talon, as you can see, is on the racetrack now, so good to see Harry out there. Wyatt, one thing we did not do earlier on was make our race picks, and I know it's going to be very tough here. Obviously, some changes with the car and with the track and whatnot. So let's try to do it anyways. Who's your pick to take the victory here tonight?
Well, man, my pick here tonight. He's been competitive pretty much every single race. Started outside of pole a couple times this season already. I'm going to go with the 43 of William Wyatt.
So, Wyatt, I know you don't have the internal feed here, but as soon as you mentioned that he's been competitive, I immediately went to William Wyatt. So, good call there. Also, just from race control, tally was issued to the 26 of Jordan Owens on that lap 1 incident. So, good call there with William Wyatt. I think he's going to be very strong here tonight. I'm going to go with a very similar strategy. I want to go with somebody that has shown me great improvement all season long. You know, he might not be someone that when you think victory, you automatically jump to this driver, but I think he's shown real great improvement. He's shown what this Pit Pass Network ARCA series is about. And I'm going to do it. I'm going to go with the 24 car of Michael Hossack here tonight. I think it's his night. He's going to get it done. It's either going to be him or Ray Bracey, but I'm going to go with Michael Hossack.
Yeah, and that's a great pick too, Robert. I mean, we've seen the improvements in all of the series he races in Elite. You know, last night he was extremely fast, you know, top 15 all
100%.
night. And I'm not sure exactly where he finished, but I believe he did finish in the top 15. And we've seen him here multiple times, barring some incidents he was involved in. He's been running top 5, top 10, getting those solid finishes. I think it's a great choice.
Yeah, obviously, like I said, it's a little unorthodox compared to what we usually are making in predictions, but I think guys like Michael Hossack, William Wyatt have really shown what this series is about, and I will use a race pick on these guys any day as the pace car is getting set to make the turn onto pit road here in just a moment. we will hand it back to Barney the Flagman to get us back underway here. Pace car is off. We'll take a look at the cars coming out of turn 4 into the tri-oval down to the Geico restart zone, and we are back underway. Jay Kaner leading the way over William White, or over Michael Hosek now, as Hosek gets to the bottom and sets his sights on that number 9 car
in the middle of the field. Oh my goodness,
that is Robert Higgins. Ethan Stanley, he's coming back up into the flow.
Harrison Talon,
Rory Collins, Mark Keeler, I think, got a piece of that. Jess Story again. Jacob Adams, I believe. Oh, he's destroyed. Let's take a look on the Robotics Photography replay machine, see what happened right there. It all starts around that 07 car. Robert Higgins, I'm going to back this up just a little bit further. Go up to the blimp cam. You can see Robert Higgins gets loose, gets down into, that is Michael Goodman, showing us 73, but we have him as 44 here. Up into Ethan Stanley. Ethan Stanley goes around down the racetrack into, I believe that's Mike Good. Yeah, it is Mike Goodman. As Ethan Stanley goes around, gonna slide back up. Trey Holmes does a Trey actually gets a piece of that in the right front. Justin Vandermeer does a great job sliding by. Harrison Talon just decides that he's going to wedge himself under the 62 of Rory Collins and work his way past that incident. Jacob Adams nowhere to go there, as we see Cash James and Trey Holmes pull away from the scene. Some early damage for some of these guys is looking at pit road. Ethan Stanley coming down. He has damage there. 29 of Jess Story. His nose is looking a little crooked. Rory Collins. Oh my gosh. Wyatt, did you see what just happened to Rory Collins?
No, I didn't.
He just got hooked by Harrison Talon, and now he has actually been turned into the infield grass, having to come back around, drive his way back onto pit road. He's going to end up getting a black flag out of this, but that's definitely something that's going to need to be cleared by race control rather quickly to avoid an extensive penalty for the Rory Collins machine. But
I'm really not sure.
What an incident.
I'm not sure what Rory was doing down there. These drivers should know by now. They need to kind of be out to the right of pit lane, and the pit boxes weren't coming up quite yet. I'm not quite sure what was going on there. Speaking of Harrison Talon, though, I don't know if you're able to do this right now while we're under caution, but if you go on board with Harrison Talon through that incident, you can really see everything develop slowly, and it's actually a pretty good look. I think the viewers might like to see at home.
Riding on board here with Harrison Talon, you can see that incident starting up ahead. Here comes Ethan Stanley back up the racetrack. Harry had nowhere to go. I thought he just drove through the 62 of Rory Collins, but really nowhere for him to go. We have to go on board with Josh Personette, though. That looked like one heck of a view for our good buddy JP, as the track is just about blocked there. Here comes Rory Collins down. Harrison Talon, great avoidance by Joshua Personette to keep his car clean. Lights are off on the pace car once again. We're going to hand it back to Barney the Flagman here in just a moment to try to get back going green here. Lap number 8 of 100, caution number 2. Mark Rubilis just hit the wall on the back straightaway, Wyatt. So not a good start to this lap for Mark Rubilis if he was hoping to leave this track with no damage tonight.
Yeah, we've seen, man, it's been a crazy start to this race, and I think a lot of it has to do with this new build from iRacing, and these cars are what appear to be about 180 degrees opposite of what they were yesterday. So we'll have to see how these drivers can adapt and get some green flag racing here.
As we see the pace car down onto pit road, we're going to hand it back to Barney the Flagman. We see the field coming into the tri-oval here, heading towards the start-finish line. Geico restart zone, green, we are underway. Jay Kaner and Michael Hossack leading the field back to green. We're going to head up here to our drone camera. Just got an update from race control. The contact on lap 5 between the 44 of Michael Goodman and the 07 of Robert Higgins has been deemed a racing incident. Lap 7 on pit road, we just got an update on that one. We'll have that on the screen in just a moment. Contact between Harrison Talon and Rory Collins. Tally issued to Harrison Talon on that one.
Yeah, that's interesting. I understand it. Just still kind of unsure of that situation as a whole. But, man, we have some good racing going on right now. It looks like the 9's just kind of taken off from the lead.
Yeah, Jay Kaner, William White, both of them have a little bit of breathing room. Michael Hossack not too far behind William White. He has a bit of room over Hunter Smith. Brent Jones up in the 5th position. I believe he was involved in the lap 1 incident. So
we have a car in the wall on the front stretch, but he's still going a little slow. Can't see who that is.
I believe that to be Michael Goodman, as he has fallen behind Mark Keeler now. And it shows 73 on the car. He is indeed number 44. I do believe that was Goody. He has continued on. Just an update for those at home. Harrison Talon has come down pit road. I do believe he may be done for the evening. We'll keep an eye on that, as Jay Kaner is your race leader over William White, Michael Hossack, Hunter Smith. Brett Jones slides a little bit to the bottom there. Ray Bracey, Brandon Ultra, Robert Higgins, and Chris Wright and Mark Rubilas, the top 10. Just behind them, we do have Mark Murphy, Trey Holmes, Jordan Owens, Cash James. Those two getting really close. Cash James up to the rear bumper of the Jordan Owens machine. Here comes Justin Vandermarl entering the picture with Ethan Stanley on his outside. Look at Ethan Stanley here, Wyatt. He's been involved in 2 major incidents so far, and he is still running rather competitively back there in the 15th position.
That 91 still got some speed somehow. I believe he's in a Pontiac tonight, so that's interesting. But nonetheless, man, it's crazy to see the...
Brent Jones just got into the outside wall. He is continuing on, but he is losing a ton of positions here. Jordan Owens, Cash James, Justin Vandermarl, Ethan Stanley all just got by the number 51 car, Josh Personette as well. So Brent Jones just dropped from the top 5 to 17th on the racetrack in a matter of seconds.
Yeah, and that's unfortunate because Brent Jones was running up there really well in the top 10, I believe, and you know, now he's outside the top 15, and looks like he has quite a bit of damage on that car just based on pace once he got back up to speed, but we'll see how that runs. But right now, this pack...
Trey Holmes just got forced down onto the apron by Mark Rubilas right there. That was a very questionable moment, as Rubilas now losing that spot to Ethan Stanley, Mark Murphy, Jordan Owens, as he falls back here into what is our biggest pack on the racetrack.
There's a lot of guys nose to tail here, and with these cars acting up and not handling the way they would obviously prefer, it's definitely going to be interesting. I mean, especially as these tires where I don't think any of these guys have taken a set yet. Maybe the few that might have been involved minorly is, I think Rubilas is back in the wall.
Mark Rubilas did just get another piece of the wall. You can see the right side of that machine very heavily crinkled at this point. Left side looks fantastic, but the rest of it not so much, as you see the 223 stamped cars here, nose to tail. Mark Rubilas is, of course, the 96. Cash James here, the actual 23 car. As you see, Jordan Owens leading the pack here. Mark Murphy just behind him. And just behind them, we see Josh Personette and Justin Vandermarl doing a nice job up here. Vandermarl making his Pit Pass Network ARCA Series debut here tonight. Nice to see him on the racetrack.
Joshua Personette is coming. He's got some speed in that car here tonight in the 18. He is all over Mark Murphy's back end as he's trying to make that move on Jordan Owens.
We're going to do a lap on board with Josh Personette here. See what that number 18 car sees, as it looks like he's going to make a pass on Mark Murphy. Murphy on his high side.
I think they might have doored off too.
They definitely did just make contact. We were actually looking out the right window camera. Oh, Josh Personette makes a big save right there. Big slide up the corner.
Let's call that planned, because the way he was able to get that thing back going.
Looking at this pack now, it seems to be getting a little bit bigger. Cash James now right up there in the party, just behind Mark Murphy in the 69. Just ahead of them, of course, Justin Vandermarl, Josh Personette, and Jordan Owens. Nothing really going on towards the front. Actually, William Wyatt catching the Jay Kaner machine at this point. Watch for that 43. He's getting there as we ride on the nose of the William Wyatt machine. Wyatt, of course, joining us all the way from the United Kingdom. Currently about 1 a.m. over there. So glad that William stayed up late to run with us tonight. If anyone is cheering on that 43 car from back home, thank you as well for tuning in. Thank everybody for tuning in tonight. Of course, we love when you guys join us out here watching these great races and seeing drivers such as William and Jay Kaner doing their thing up front.
Yeah, and enough can't be said about the guy running in third place right now. Michael Hossack, man, you picked him to win this thing, and he's holding strong up there in third. He's pulled away from Hunter Smith and Brandon Ultra, and he's got great pace again tonight. Yeah,
our outside pole sitter here tonight, Michael Hossack. Again, you know, I feel like I've said this every week, and I feel like a bit of a broken record, but this guy right here is one that's made this series something that I'm relatively proud of. Is William Wyatt battling side by side for the race lead. We'll get back to Michael Hossack in a moment, as these two are indeed side by side for the race lead. Jay Kaner just edging out William Wyatt down into turn number 3. Here comes Wyatt on the bottom. They're about to be door to door, as I do believe William Wyatt does have the advantage off of turn 4. He will officially lead that lap. So William Wyatt, your race leader. Jay Kaner not wanting to give it up too quickly here, as you see him side by side with William Wyatt up on the outside. Jay Kaner, Ray Bracey loses a spot. Hunter Smith and Brandon Ultra back up front, though. Of course, these two are continuing to battle, swapping spots just about every couple corners.
Yeah, and one thing we really need to note here is the gaps between the leaders to the next pack. I feel like we haven't seen a whole lot of major leads in any of the stock cars, really, but since this build, it looks like these guys were able to pull away really quick. So I wonder if the cars with, I believe the rev limiters were raised, so yeah, I think so the speed.
I believe the gearing changed a little bit in these cars, and that's something that we're seeing play a factor here tonight. I'm seeing Robert Higgins losing a ton of spots there. I think he's just getting passed by Ethan Stanley and Trey Holmes, as William Wyatt has finally cleared the Jay Kaner machine. William Wyatt, your new race leader. Wyatt, I do want to jump back to the third place car, though, and continue what I was saying earlier. You know, like I've said almost every week, a guy like Michael Hossack has really shown what this Pit Pass Network ARCA series has been about. It's an opportunity for drivers to come in, to hone their skills, to build the confidence, and really become a better version of themselves on the racetrack. And that's something that we've seen out of Michael Hossack so far in the top 3 series of Elite this season. He's done a really phenomenal job. He's been very competitive. He's been up and around the top 10. He's been inside the top 10 a couple times, and he's done a great job. So very happy to see the development of some of these guys, and I can't wait to see it through the final 4 events of this season and into next season as well. As we're going to jump back to a battle for 7th. That's Trey Holmes, Hunter Smith, side by side.
I was just about to say Trey Holmes is also coming here. He started in the back, you know, had to get the EOL at the start. He's, no, my goodness, he just, oh, what a slide it looked like. But he cleared Hunter Smith there, man. Oh, my goodness.
Trey Holmes is one heck of a driver. Wyatt, obviously, your team owner in the Cup Series and in various other series, so you know what you're getting when it comes to Trey Holmes. But for those of you that don't usually see that Trey Holmes car, usually number 88 with Mountain Dew on the side, but running the 3 tonight, he's a driver to watch every week, every series, no matter what it is. He is going to be competitive. It's just an update from the rear of the field. Jess Story now coming down pit road. He has parked it for the evening. So the 29 car is loading it onto the hauler, and he is headed home.
Yeah, that's a tough break for Jess, starting up front in the top 5, I believe, and not going to have the finish to show for it, but, you know, with a good qualifying position, there's at least a little bit to be proud of.
Another good battle here, Wyatt, is the 17th place battle between Brent Jones and Michael Goodman. Both of those guys swapping position a few times. Just an update, Harrison Talon now coming back down pit road. So these guys have had their fair share of trouble this evening, and just seems to be continuing as Michael Goodman, looking back to the inside of Brent Jones, nearly gets a wheel off into the dirt, which would not have been too good at all, as Brent Jones working the high side, trying to get a bit of bite to make a run. They nearly make contact there down the back straightaway. We're going to jump back up. Jordan Owens, Hunter Smith continuing their battle. Jordan Owens does clear the Hunter Smith machine, move Jordan Owens back up into the 9th spots, and just looks like we're having another battle here. Josh Personette and Hunter Smith now side by side off of turn number 2.
And Ethan Stanley just got clear of Trey Holmes as well. They were battling pretty dang hard. I think Trey finally decided, yeah, you're a little faster than me right now.
Oh, Josh Personette up into Hunter Smith. 3 wide. Cash James on the bottom, Josh Personette in the middle, Hunter Smith on the high side. Josh Personette backs out. There's Cash James and Hunter Smith now side by side. Sorry to cut you off there, Wyatt.
Oh, no, I didn't even see it. I'm glad you noted that. But, you know, one guy we haven't talked about all night, and he's the points leader, the 42 car of Chris Wright. He's up to 4th now, and he started 19th. He's up 15 spots, Robert. We're 33 laps into this thing, and he's just over 4 seconds behind the leaders. Assuming this goes green for a while, we'll see how he saved his tires. But, you know, pit stops have worked in his favor in the past, and they might if we get green flag pit stops here.
Chris Wright is the biggest mover of the evening, up 15 spots now. He is about 2 seconds behind our 3rd place car, which is indeed Michael Hosek. Sorry for the spike there. Cash James had a big moment ahead of Josh Personette as they came off of turn 2. I thought we were about to have a wreck. But, yeah, Chris Wright doing a great job here so far, up into the 4th spot, started 19th. Obviously, gained a few spots with some guys getting end of longest line penalties, but Chris Wright showing why he's the points leader in the series. And again, just a refresher on the points, Chris Wright is ahead of Ethan Stanley by about 18 points there. Ethan Stanley just 3 spots behind Chris on the racetrack right now, so that battle is one to watch all night long. Ethan Stanley going to be looking for any opportunity to get up and around that 42 as we see William White up front. Look at that beautiful 43 car. You see 213 Simware on the side. That is his presenting partner as he is wheeling that 43 absolutely beautifully here tonight.
Yeah, he really is, and you know, we kind of expected this, seeing his speed in practice. He seemed to be one of the fastest guys on the track, and You know, he's been fast at a couple of these mile and a half so far this season and really put together some good performances. Had a little bit of bad luck here and there, but right now he's leading this thing and he's pulled away quite a bit over Jay Kaner.
And one thing I want to point out, Wyatt, is I did see on social media earlier today, William White put out a tweet saying, confident in short and long run pace, hoping to take my first league win in a while and first ever elite win in order to keep myself in the title fight. So William White knew that he would be somebody to compete with here tonight.
Yeah, and he's really proven it. You know, when you have that kind of confidence coming into a race, you've had a pretty good season. Why not go snag one at one of the most important tracks in stock car racing, right?
Absolutely. This is one of the biggest tracks in all of motorsport. We are at the Charlotte Motor Speedway, of course, formerly known as Lowe's Motor Speedway. I don't know if you were around for those days, Wyatt, but
was.
Yeah, that was quite the time back then.
It's been a few decades almost, I believe.
A couple years, eh?
Oh, just a couple, but
just a couple.
You know, it's really good to see these guys having that this green flag run after a little bit of a chaotic start. But you know, you look back through 15th to pretty much 20th. These guys are all within realm of each other, and they're racing hard for every position here. It's awesome to see. It's good stuff, and as the leaders have started to fan out, these guys probably need to start thinking about getting themselves either going or letting whoever needs to be faster by, because they need to worry about those leaders starting to catch them now. We're starting to see the leaders reel in on some lap cars.
One thing I want to point out here, Wyatt, is Chris Wright is catching the Michael Hossack machine less than half a second, separating these two at this point. That is the third and fourth position that those two are battling for. Looks like Michael Hossack having some issues with his tires. Obviously, these guys have been on these tires since the start of the race. Only two cars inside the top 10 have pit in Ethan Stanley and Jordan Owens. I don't know if either of them have taken tires at all, as they were both damaged in some earlier incidents. So I do believe most of the field still on their original tires from the start of the race. But let's take this opportunity now to take a run through the field and point out where your favorite driver's running. Of course, William White is your race leader. Second place is Jay Kaner. Third, Michael Hossack, with Chris Wright right on his tail. Chris Wright actually going to the inside. Michael Hossack in the outside wall. As we mentioned, those tires falling off. Chris Wright able to clear them there. So now Michael Hossack back to fourth. Brandon Ultra in the fifth position, started in 17th. So nice gain by him tonight. There's Ray Bracey. Bojo running in the sixth spot, qualified fifth, so back one from his starting position. Ethan Stanley doing a phenomenal job. Came from the front to the back, to the front, to the back, to the front again, as he's running seventh. There, just behind him, is Jordan Owens, followed by the 23 of Cash James in the ninth spot. Trey Holmes up to 10th after starting in the rear due to a contingency violation. Just behind him, we do see Justin Vandermarl, another one that started in the rear, currently running in the 11th spot. Mark Murphy in 12th. Josh Personette up 10 spots from his starting position, currently running 13th. Hunter Smith in 14th. Dave Carpenter 15th. Michael Goodman 16th. Mark Robilas 17th. Brent Jones under pressure from Mark Keeler there in 18th and 19th, and running 20th is Robert Higgins, as Josh Personette now comes down pit road. That is our first green flag pit stop of the evening from guys inside the top 15. So here he is, Josh Personette, taking some tires. Will anyone follow his lead here?
I gotta assume some of those guys back there might want to take this short pit opportunity. Looking at it, they're probably going to have to pit again still. Based on where they're pitting here, if they haven't pitted yet from those earlier cautions. But I just want to make a note over the radio while you were going through the grid. I heard Michael Hossack mention you guys need to learn or teach me how to save these tires. So
Hey,
it definitely seems like he is
I
struggling on
totally
this.
agree with him when it comes to saving tires. I cannot save tires worth anything. And Trey Holmes coming down pit road. There we go. Top 10 car now entering the pits in that number 3 machine. So watch for more guys to follow the lead. I have to think that you may see someone like a Justin Vandermarl down pit road next time by, following the lead of his teammate Trey Holmes. Chris Wright looks really good on this long run right now, so I have to wonder if he's going to try to stretch this as long as he can. We'll try to get word from him a little later in the race if we have the opportunity. But looking at this battle now, we do have side-by-side Michael Hossack, Brandon Ultra, not Jay Kaner, that's Ray Bracey. There we go. I'm just calling him every name in the book. Currently running right behind them in the 6th spot. We're almost looking 3 wide. Ethan Stanley, Jordan Owens, Cash James, all right there as well. So 5th through about 9th, all under a blanket. 4th, through 9th, all under a blanket. If you're one of these guys, do you consider pitting to see if maybe you can get out of this potential mess and try to avoid something? As we have a couple more pit stops here, Robert Higgins, Brent Jones, Hunter Smith, all on pit road. Here he comes. William White, our race leader, has entered pit road here, or he's just about to. As Jay Kaner, now your race leader.
Before William White brought it down pit road, the first guy that came to my mind was Ethan Stanley. I felt like he probably needed the pit to get out of this mess, but now he's kind of stuck right in the middle of it.
Michael Hossack in the outside wall. He is stuck up there, able to get clear, but he loses a bunch of spots. Ethan Stanley, Jordan Owens, Ray Bracey all go by. Cash James on the bottom. Back to you, Wyatt.
But yeah, I was going to say Ethan Stanley, to get out of this, he's already been in 2 of the incidents, the only 2 we've had in this race. And I think I would be a little concerned being around a bunch of guys like that. So
absolutely. Jay Kaner, Brandon Ultra, Mark Keeler, all down pit road as well. Chris Wright, your new race leader, as he is catching the 07 car here. Mike Goodman also bringing his car down pit road. So pit stops definitely underway here at Charlotte Motor Speedway.
Everybody else is coming right now. I think everybody else is pitting.
I think Michael Hossack's in the... That is not Hossack. Somebody just got the wall. Jordan Owens coming down pit road. Ray Bracey, Michael Hossack, Cash James, Mark Murphy, all down pit road. Looks like Chris Wright will stay out for now, as Ethan Stanley, Justin Vandermarl, and Dave Carpenter, the only 4 remaining on the racetrack. Actually, Rory Collins still out there. Chris Pfaff, as well as William White, will cycle back around once these guys all pit. Chris Wright still staying out there to lead. He has a 3.6 second lead over Ethan Stanley. Justin Vandermarl now coming down pit road. He's looking a little quick to me, but we'll have to keep an eye on that to see if he does get a penalty of any kind. Chris Wright, Ethan Stanley, Dave Carpenter. I think Chris Wright may be considering a pit stop here. Looks like he was slowing down a little bit and trying to get to the bottom. Here comes your race leader, Chris Wright, to pit road. Ethan Stanley will stay out, as he does have William White just behind him trying to unlap himself. Rory Collins also just came down pit road. So Chris Wright, your race leader, did pit. Ethan Stanley and Chris Pfaff, the only 2 remaining on the racetrack, as William White has unlapped himself the hard way. Ethan Stanley is not coming down.
Wow. Oh, yeah, he is.
Yes, he is. That was a Quinn Houff moment right there, pitting from the outside wall all the way down to the apron. That should hand the race lead over to Chris Pfaff if he opts to stay out. We will see in a moment. He kind of indicated on the back.
No.
Oh, yellow flag's out.
Oh, that's big.
Who was in that wreck? I am not seeing it here. Michael Hossack, I believe, was involved. Oh, no. I think I just jinxed him. As we'll take a look on the Robiles Photography replay machine. Michael Hossack on the inside of Mark Murphy. Ethan Stanley is still on pit road. Just an FYI, he just came off now. Chris Paff, your race leader. Michael Hossack just gets a little loose. Oh, no. Oh, my word. Let's go on board with Michael Hossack here. Wyatt, did you just see what happened?
Yeah.
He got loose on the inside of Murphy and ended up inside the water barrels here. That car is destroyed. He is done for the night. That is so unfortunate, man. The right front is not there anymore.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, that is one heck of a tin can out there. William White, now your race leader once again. Josh Personette coming down pit road a second time. Brent Jones as well. Chris Paff has just pit. We have a red flag, it almost looks like, as Mike Goodman and Justin Vandermeer ended up stopped on the track. Wyatt, we are going to take a pit stop ourselves. We'll be back in about 2 minutes time to potentially get you to the end of the race. Caution number 3 is out in the Charlotte 150.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
And we are back here in the Charlotte 150 here in the Pit Pass Network ARCA series. You did just hear from our friends over at iRacing.com as well as TA Services. TA Services has been one of our premier partners here for a while. And of course, just to fill you in on TA Services, they are a trusted domestic and international full-service third-party logistics provider offering freight brokerage, managed transportation, warehousing, and fulfillment, as well as cross-border logistics services to shippers around the globe. TA Services moves what matters to you. Let the TA Services team make ship happen. Blue Egg Marketing, another premier partner here in the Elite Racing League. Blue Egg is the marketing department for small businesses, small business owners. Blue Egg is your biggest fan. as well. Worldwide Technology Raceway is a motorsport racing facility in Madison, Illinois, just east of St. Louis, Missouri, featuring a 1.25-mile oval, a 2-mile road course, a quarter-mile drag strip, and a state-of-the-art karting facility. Check out Worldwide Technology Raceway today. And, of course, pitpassnetwork.com, your new home for all things NASCAR, from news to reviews and interviews. Check out pitpassnetwork.com. Back on the racetrack, Wyatt, caution number 3 is out after unfortunate contact with the water barrels by Michael Hosek, my pick to take the victory tonight. So unfortunate. He was running really, really well, and unfortunately the car just snapped on him, and nothing he could really do to avoid going firewall deep into those water barrels. But Wyatt, pace car about to come off here, and we're going to get going green once again.
Absolutely. It's going to be, I think, a madhouse now. Gain all the spots he can because the separation was huge.
It is William Wyatt and Ethan Stanley on the front row here. As you see, William Wyatt does get a great jump ahead of Ethan Stanley there. Jay Kaner moves his way to the inside of the Ethan Stanley machine. Chris Wright just behind them as well, as we see Ethan Stanley up to the rear end of William Wyatt. Wyatt throws a slight block on the 91, preventing him from getting to the inside, as Chris Wright now catching up to the rear of Jay Kaner. He sees his championship rival Ethan Stanley not too far ahead, so he knows he's got to get up there and get by him. Just behind them, though, we see Jordan Owens, Ray Bracey, Brandon Ultra, Cash James, as well as Josh Personette and Mark Murphy inside the top 10. So those guys doing a nice job. We saw some interesting strategy out of Josh Personette earlier to kind of kickstart the green flag pit stops, and he's in the top 10, so I think it worked for him as he looks to the inside of Cash James there.
Yeah, and that's what I was just going to point out is Joshua Personette's coming. He's got, everyone's got fresh tires now. But, man, he's got that short run speed, and he didn't really fall off a whole lot on the long run, so his line's real good, his inputs are real good, and he's working his way up.
Josh Personette, one of the brains behind this ARCA series, as Cash James has a moment. Looks like he has called it a night. Maybe a quick exit from that race car to prevent bringing out any sort of a yellow flag. Not sure what happened to him, but Cash James, actually no, just a major blink. He's back on the racetrack, so very odd there as we see the 23 blinking, trying to deal with a connection issue. Unfortunate for him, but he will try to get that sorted out, as William Wyatt now having a bit of pressure from Ethan Stanley. We did just see
car on the wall. Sorry, I think that was Mark Rubilis.
Taking a look, it does look like Mark Rubilis. He's still battling that race car. We did just get an update from race control. Lap 53 incident, of course, as we saw, was a self-spin by Michael Hosek, so a tally issued for that one, as we see Josh Personette now trying to make a move on Brandon Ultra, who's trying to make a move on Ray Bracey. So this is a heated battle for the 6th position. Ultra all over the rear end of the Bojo machine. You see that big cat on that number 7 car.
Take a moment to just talk about how cute that cat scheme is. I mean, if that's actually his cat. Oh, Brandon Ultra, low. He might have hit the inside wall.
Low. Sounds like you're trying to sing a little bit of Flow Rider right there, Wyatt.
No, I would probably never. But Brandon Ultra had a lot of an issue off turn 2 there. He's still going, but I can't tell if he hit the inside wall or not. But it looked close.
He did not hit the inside wall. He was able to get that car caught up, as you see Ethan Stanley getting to the rear end of William Wyatt, looking for the first opportunity to make a move. Is he going to go low? Is he going to go high? William Wyatt trying to make that track. The car as wide as he can here, as we see Ethan Stanley try to make a move to the high side. He cannot get there. 35 laps to go as these two battling for the race lead. Jay Kaner and Chris Wright have a battle of their own for third. Jordan Owens just kind of running by himself there. So you see Ray Bracey and Josh Personette now battling for the 6th spot. Brandon Ultra falling back to Mark Murphy, while Trey Holmes battles the likes of Brent Jones, Robert Higgins, Justin Vandermarl, Dave Carpenter, and Mike Goodman for position. Chris Wright, Jay Kaner side by side for third.
And we have a battle for the
William
lead,
White
too.
and Ethan
Yeah.
Stanley side by side for first. So lots of battling going on. William White does have the upper hand right now as Ethan Stanley does get back in line. Chris Wright gains that spot on Jay Kaner, so he finds himself up in the 3rd position. Ethan Stanley back to the bottom of William White here, looking to take the race lead. Obviously, Ethan Stanley has been absolutely phenomenal so far in Elite in 2023. 6 victories through, I believe the number was about 22 races. So that is pretty phenomenal for that 91 car. Looking to continue that tonight while trying to battle a guy looking for his first Elite victory.
Yeah, and you know, this isn't going to be a okay, yeah, you've been pretty good this year, I'm going to let you by kind of thing. I think William White really wants this one, seeing how fast he's been all night.
Working on getting an update from Cash James on what happened to him. As soon as I have that information, I will pass that along, but back to you, Wyatt.
I think Cash James might have had an internet issue. It looks like he's dropped out of the server completely now. Putting him about 6 laps down at this point. But, you know, another guy who's working his way up right now, Robert, Trey Holmes is up to 9th. He took the wave around on that last caution, just how it fell. And, you know, he had a couple laps on his tires. Took the wave round, and now he's up in the top 10, now up to 9th, trying to chase down Brandon Ultra.
Yeah, as Trey Holmes does a great job there in 9th. I do want to jump a little bit further back. You see a battle with Justin Vandermarl and Robert Higgins. Vandermarl trying to run down that 07 car as he has Mark Murphy and Dave Carpenter not too far behind him. So battles developing all throughout as Ethan Stanley now is your race leader by a 10.5 over William White. But William White, you know, is going to be hungry to get that back.
Yeah, and we saw his long run pace. He reeled in Jay Kaner kind of out of nowhere and passed him and just took off. So we'll have to see if Ethan Stanley can save those tires enough to be able to compete with William White if he can get back to him.
Looking at the field here, obviously these guys all doing a fairly solid job. We do see Ethan Stanley, William White up front here. Go a little bit further back. Again, we see Mark Murphy and Dave Carpenter battling for position. Carpenter did get by Mark Murphy. Brent Jones just behind them. He was inside the top 5 earlier tonight, but I believe a bit of wall contact may have hurt that 51 car. But Brent Jones still showing strength all night long, and unfortunate that, you know, at this point he's not running where he wants to be, but I guarantee if he gets another caution or two, we'll see that 51 battling for a top 10 position tonight. Also, looking back here, Mark Rubilis has been caught up in a few incidents, currently running 17th, still on track. That's what matters right now. Rory Collins, no left side door on that machine, but he's still out there on the lead lap. So good job by these guys, just trying to stick it out, see what they can get, and go from there. Ethan Stanley, half-second lead now over William White. Chris Wright, 1.2 back. 7/10 from Chris is Jay Kaner. And then Jordan Owens in the top 5 with Josh Personette trying to run him down.
Yeah, and Joshua Personette, he's up to 6 now, like you just mentioned, but he started 23rd tonight, man. He started near the back, and he's just been steady, working his way up. And once this green flag got underway here, on the most recent restart, he has taken off, gained, I think, about 5 or 6 spots at least by now. And, man, he's looking really good tonight.
Definitely looking strong is the 18 of Josh Personette. We saw a different pit strategy out of him. We saw him towards the front. We saw him towards the rear. And now with 25 laps to go, he is just outside that top 5. So watch Josh Personette here in the final stages of this race to see what he can do as he spins it out. Good catch by Josh Personette, but maybe for Josh's sake, we'll stop talking about him here for a couple minutes and let him gather himself back up.
Yeah, I think at this point we're going to have to start talking about Harrison Talon, because it seems like every time I mention someone, or you mention someone, something bad happens to him. It's the good old commentator's curse. So let's talk about Harrison Talon for a bit. 63 laps down.
He's out of the race, so can't really talk about Harry, but one thing to watch here, William Wyatt trying to close the gap back up on Ethan Stanley, while Chris Wright is closing that gap on William Wyatt. So the battle's really on here for second at this point. Actually, as you mentioned that, coming back onto the racetrack, the number 5 car of Harrison Talon.
Hey, you said as long as they're on track, that's a good thing. And, Harry might gain a spot or two. Probably just one, maybe one. Depends. But,
no, taking a look, he might gain a spot on Jess Story. But I think that's about it, as Chris Wright is all over the rear bumper of William Wyatt at this point, looking to make a move. Chris Wright looks to the inside of the 43, 42, 43, battling for P2 here, door to door in turn number 1, as we see Chris Wright just about clear himself up in front of William Wyatt. Continuing to be side by side into turn number 3. Chris Wright does look to have the spot. We'll see if he can clear it here, as Williams should get a run off the corner. Yes, he does. Chris Wright up into second now, setting his sights on Ethan Stanley. And Chris Wright is very familiar with P2.
Yeah, he is. And he's also familiar seeing that 91 every single track we go to. Those guys have been just positions apart pretty much the whole season. Ethan Stanley picking up a couple wins. I believe Chris finished second. At least one of those, maybe both of them, or all. I think, does he have 3 wins now? I think he has 3.
He does have 3 victories, yes. That is indeed correct, as Chris Wright has 0 and looking for his first, which, if Chris can get a caution, he may gain that spot. Just to quickly point out, Trey Holmes now just passes Josh Personette, so Trey Holmes up into 7th, Personette back to 8th after his slide a moment ago. We see Dave Carpenter now making a pass on Justin Vandermeer, not able to make that pass. Does fall back in line as Vandermeer now looking to the inside of Robert Higgins. That is a battle for the 10th position. These two are side by side, as Justin Vandermeer now does move up inside the top 10.
Yeah, and he made that pass with a lot of grit, too. I mean, he didn't have a whole lot of room on the bottom with the way these cars have been acting, but Justin Vandermeer doing a great job to make himself get there up into the top 10. Robert Higgins having a pretty good run himself, flirting with the top 10. He's going to have a little pressure from Dave Carpenter, though.
Robert Higgins surprises me a lot here, as he was heavily involved, and I believe it was caution number 1 of the night, where we saw Higgins get some pretty substantial damage. So to see him out there, his car actually looks pretty good considering the situation here tonight. So nice to see Higgins battling here. Brandon Ultra to the outside of Josh Personette is able to make the pass, as actually now they're side by side off of turn number 4. Personette trying to run down Trey Holmes, but he has to hold off Brandon Ultra here for the 8th position. Nearly contact. They may have actually made the slightest contact as they head off of turn number 2 down the back straightaway. Josh Personette in the wall.
Yeah, and it looks like he's going to keep it straight. Not a whole lot of damage. I think he'll be okay. Justin Vandermeer is going to look at that 18 car, though, and say, hey, I kind of want to get underneath you here and just slide on by you. So I'll have to see how that works out. But
And Justin Vandermeer is looking really good right now, showing a fair bit of pace, trying to get up to that Personette car. 16 laps to go here at Charlotte in the Charlotte 150. And this, I do believe, is the closest battle on the racetrack right now. Yes, indeed, it is. Justin Vandermeer, Josh Personette, the only true battle going on right now. As actually, here comes Dave Carpenter just behind Justin Vandermeer. So he's looking for his opportunity to work his way up into the top 10 as well.
yeah, and Robert, I'm looking at the intervals here between first and second. It looks like Chris Wright actually gained about a half a tenth of a second that last lap on Ethan Stanley. I think Chris Wright saved a little stuff here for the end. We'll see if he'll be able to reel in Ethan Stanley. And I think both him and William Wyatt are actually gaining on the leader now.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to follow along here. 7/10 of a second, so about 3/4 of a second is the gap between first and second right now. Ethan Stanley does have some lap cars about a straightaway ahead of him, so he'll catch them eventually. But it'll be very interesting to see if Chris Wright can work his way up there to that number 91 car. And you have to imagine if he can, Ethan Stanley's going to put up a fight as he has had to claw his way up through the field back to the front of the pack. Just an update, Trey Holmes, Brandon Ultra side by side here for the 7th position. Trey Holmes able to hold him off, but Brandon Ultra back to the outside, nearly contact in the middle of the corner as those two got very tight there. Justin Vandermeer trying to run down Josh Personette. Dave Carpenter, Mark Murphy now joining that battle as well. But we will jump back up to William Wyatt and Chris Wright here as this battle's brewing now between second and third. 0.2 of a second separating those two, but William Wyatt seems to be gaining on Chris here, trying to make a move to work his way up to second. These two have to try to avoid directly battling each other right now, as they have to try to run down
Ethan Stanley on the wall.
Ethan Stanley, yes, Ethan Stanley did just grab a piece of the wall. We caught that very closely there. Ethan got the wall. Chris Wright and William Wyatt here, second and third. William Wyatt looks to be a fair bit quicker lap car just ahead of the leaders. Does appear to be Christopher Paff, the 30 car. Yes, it is. So that's another element that's going to come into play here shortly, as William Wyatt, I thought, was about to get into Chris Wright here. Nose to tail is the 42 and the 43. 43 trying to move ahead of 42 here on the number scale, as you see William Wyatt going on by. Hip hip cheerio. Here comes William Wyatt.
Chris is going to battle on the outside. I almost feel like you might want to let that 43 go and then see if he can catch him when they battle, if the 43 can get to him. I understand it's late in the race, but for a chance at the win, kind of have to gauge that. It looks like Ethan Stanley's going to be able to pull away here while they battle side by side, though.
That is indeed what it appears, but again, you have to remember there is a lap car just ahead, and with tires being a little older at this point, it might make that lap car a little unpredictable. Contact! Caution's out.
Oh, and Ethan Stanley didn't want to see the 30 go up and then down low right there.
Ethan Stanley has front end damage from that incident as well. We'll take a look on the robotics photography replay machine here, see what happened. But you have to imagine that everybody is coming down pit road here, watching that 30 of Christopher Paff. Top, bottom, apron. Ethan Stanley's nose and around. Chris Wright just misses him as Chris Paff ends up in that inside wall. Wow. This changes a lot right here.
Yeah, it does. And, you know, one thing we can't leave out here is how many guys fifth on back or so might be thinking a little strategy call of two tires.
You can't. You really can't at this point, especially at Charlotte. I think there's going to be probably about 4 laps to go when we go green again. I just don't think you can. It's going to invite way too much push in the middle of the corner. We will take a look here as these guys come down pit road. We'll wait for them to exit before we go for our pit stop here. As you see, they are coming down pit road. Ethan Stanley leading the way. Does appear everyone's going to come down. You did just see Hunter Smith stay out. He's a lap down, so he's going to take a wave by there to try to work his way back onto the lead lap. Here's Ethan Stanley entering his pit box. William White coming down to his. Jake Kaner as well. So we'll take a look and see who wins this race off of pit road here, which may... Chris Wright coming down pretty quick. Jordan Owens.
Jordan Owens with two tires.
Owens, Ethan Stanley, Chris Wright, William White, Jay Kaner, Ray Bracey, Josh Personette, Dave Carpenter, Trey Holmes, Brandon Ultra, Jordan Owens, your new race leader on 2 tires here. This is going to be something to watch. That 26 car, he's hoping to see some cautions here. I can tell you right now. What a move. There we go. Tally issued to Chris Paff after contact with Ethan Stanley. Wyatt, like I mentioned, we are going to take a commercial break. When we come back, we will go to the end of the Charlotte 150. Here's actually Jordan Owens on the apron. No, he is okay. We'll go to a commercial break, and we'll be right back.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
We are back here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. This is the Charlotte 150. Jordan Owens, now your race leader ahead of Ethan Stanley after some pit strategy following a caution due to contact between Christopher Paff and Ethan Stanley, who was our race leader at the time. You did just see a message from iRacing.com as well as TA Services. TA Services has been a trusted domestic and international full-service third-party logistics provider offering freight brokerage, managed transportation, warehousing, and fulfillment, as well as cross-border logistics services to shippers around the globe. TA Services moves what matters to you. Let the TA Services team make ship happen. Blue Egg Marketing is the marketing department for small businesses, small business owners. Blue Egg is your biggest fan. Worldwide Technology Raceway is a motorsport racing facility in Madison, Illinois, just east of St. Louis, Missouri, and close to the Gateway Arch, featuring a 1.25-mile oval as well as a 2-mile road course, quarter-mile drag strip, and a state-of-the-art karting facility, the Kartplex. Check out Worldwide Technology Raceway today. And, of course, PitPassNetwork.com is your new home for all things NASCAR. From news to reviews and interviews, check out PitPassNetwork.com. Wyatt Knadle, it is Jordan Owens leading the way right now with Ethan Stanley right alongside him. It is William White, Chris Wright, row number 2, Ray Bracey, Jay Kaner, row number 3, Dave Carpenter, Josh Personette, row 4, and rounding out the top 10, Brandon Ultra and Trey Holmes. What do you think we're going to see here with 4 laps to go?
Well, we got to make sure that 26, if he's driving that thing hard on the start, we can't see any tire spin out of him, or else this could be chaos. But if he can get a hold of it as we come green here, I think he'll be okay.
Green flag in the air. Jordan Owens does have a great lead. Josh Personette around. He's in the infield. We do stay green here. Unfortunately for Josh Personette, we are green. Jordan Owens sending it off into turn number 1, off turn number 2. Here comes Ethan Stanley on the high side. Chris Wright on the inside. As this battle is heating up, we're going to go to the blimp view as we go 3 wide. Chris Wright on the bottom, Ethan Stanley on the high side. Jordan Owens in the middle. Almost contact with the outside wall. Ethan Stanley comes back. He is now coming after the Chris Wright machine. What a dive through the middle to work his way to the bottom. Ethan Stanley, your race leader, on the inside of Chris Wright. Jay Kaner there on the outside of Jordan Owens as a side-by-side battle continues for the race lead. Ethan Stanley and Chris Wright. Ray Bracey having a moment. He's able to catch it. We're going to stay up front here as we're coming to 2 to go. It is Chris Wright now, your race leader, over Ethan Stanley. Stanley still on the bottom. He has a nose there. He is not out of it yet. Ethan Stanley on the bottom, 2 to go for Chris Wright. Chris Wright blocking off the run on the bottom. Jay Kaner, Ethan Stanley side by side. Here comes Chris Wright to the bottom. Jay Kaner to the top. He's sending it. Working that high side, going like gangbusters right now. Trying to work his way down the back straightaway, getting a draft off Chris Wright. Watch for Jay Kaner to jump to the bottom, not able to. Chris Wright continues to lead at this point off of turn number 4. Coming to the white flag, side by side, Ethan Stanley, Jay Kaner. That's what Chris Wright needs. He needs to push these guys close to each other. Make it next to impossible. He has to block the top, has to block the bottom. Ethan Stanley nearly got the bottom there. As we see Jay Kaner on the high side, Ethan Stanley sideways. Chris Wright, come on, Chris, you got this. He's trying to hold it off right now. Jay Kaner looking to the high side of Chris Wright. You have to make that car wide, buddy. Chris Wright. Oh, no. Jay Kaner's going to get him at the line, I think, here. Chris Wright into Jay Kaner, door to door. They bang. Jay Kaner, your race winner here at Charlotte. Oh, my gosh. Chris Wright does not know how to win a race, man. He's always second. Oh, my gosh. What's with all these close finishes here in Elite in 2023? 100th of a second, Chris Wright and Jay Kaner. What a move by Jay to get by Chris right there. Oh my. See if we can get a view here. Oh, Chris turns him. Chris Wright just turned Jay Kaner after the flag. Ethan Harrison Talon just being hairy. I want to watch that pass once again. Jay Kaner looks to the outside of Chris Wright. We'll back this up just a little bit further here. Off of turn number 2, Chris Wright opens the top. Jay Kaner works his way up there. Had Chris blocked that run off of turn 2, Jay Kaner would not have gotten there. Kaner to the high side, works his way around, pinches Chris Wright. Chris comes off, makes contact with Jay Kaner, trying to pinch him off, and nothing he can do there. Jay Kaner, your victor here tonight, as you see him burning it down. We'll take a look at the results of tonight's race here on screen. Of course, Jay Kaner victorious. Harrison Talon doing burnouts for some reason there on the bottom. Jay Kaner, Chris Wright, Ethan Stanley top 3. William White, one heck of a drive tonight in 4th. Trey Holmes took the lucky dog not too long ago, finished 5th. Brandon Ultra, Justin Vandermeer, phenomenal run by him there in 7th. Mark Murphy, Jordan Owens, Mike Goodman in the top 10. We saw him 19th not too long ago. Now he finished in the top 10. Brent Jones in 11th. Robert Higgins, Mark Keeler, Ray Bracey, Dave Carpenter, Mark Rubilas, Rory Collins, Josh Personette up there. As you see the rest of the field on your screen. What a finish right there. We're going to go ahead and bring in Ethan Stanley, who will be standing by for a 3rd place interview with Wyatt Knadle.
Ethan Stanley, it's Wyatt in the booth, man. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, I got you.
Well, man, look, you were leading late, had a lap car in front of you. Things didn't necessarily go out the way you planned. And you still come back to finish 3rd, man. How do you feel?
Kind of gutted, I think I had that win in the bag. But, I had that 30 car, I had some problems with him throughout the whole race. I don't know what was going on with him. But yeah, it is what it is.
Now, we couldn't get a really good look of it, Ethan, but did you get damage getting up into the back of that 30?
I didn't get any damage clipping him, but yeah, I just knew on the restart wouldn't be able to really hold the position, and yeah, just disappointing finish for me. But third is still third, so can't be too angry.
Absolutely. And, coming to that final restart after that caution, you saw Jordan Owens take 2 tires and you were on his outside. What did you see there on that restart? And what did you expect at the same time with the way this car's been handling tonight?
I expected the 2 tires to be very loose, so I was kind of happy I was restarting on the outside. But yeah, I guess I just couldn't keep the momentum compared to the guys behind me, and I just didn't really want to push up and maybe hit the wall, so I tried staying low. Didn't really work out for me.
Absolutely. And you had some great battles once you got up to the front after the early issues. I mean, you were involved in the first 2 cautions, but you were able to get back up front and you battled pretty hard with William White, who led a lot of laps here tonight. How was that, man? He really brought something today, and you guys had some good battles on track.
Yeah, I mean, he had really good pace. I got really lucky on that caution. I was leading coming down pit lane, and the caution came out, so I ended up second. And yeah, me and him had a great battle. I think I would have been able to keep it to the end there if it wasn't for the caution. I know Chris was closed in on me, but yeah, I think I was able to just save a little bit better than him.
Absolutely. And, everywhere we've gone this season so far, you've shown a lot of speed. A third place with an unfortunate break at the end. Can't be too upset about that. But before we let you go here, Ethan, do you have anybody you want to shout out?
Yeah, shout out to my new sponsor, Southern Out on the Car. One Up Games and Repairs based in Bay City, Michigan, Saginaw, Michigan. If you're ever in the area, check them out for all your electronic repair needs. And big shout out to you guys, and of course, just everybody in the league that makes it all happen.
Absolutely, Ethan. Congratulations on third place tonight, man. Seeing you up in the booth has become a trend. I hope we continue to see you throughout the rest of the season as we finish her off here and not too far away. But this is third place, Ethan Stanley.
Yeah, thank you.
That was our third place finisher, like you mentioned, Ethan Stanley there, coming home in the third position. Next up, of course, is Chris Wright. Chris, man, one spot short again, buddy. How you feeling after that one?
Well, I mean, we're not trying to win any of these races, I think. We're going to keep finishing second or third. But no, it was the car was a handful in the short run. It got tight. We were pretty good. Had pretty good long run pace. I don't know how I feel about the caution coming out there. Ethan called for the bottom. The guy didn't give it to him. Ethan maybe could have went around him on the top. But, the guy asked where he was wanted, or something was said about that the lap prior there, about, him wanting the bottom, and kind of just stayed there. So, I don't know. It would have been interesting if the caution didn't come out, because I think we were closing the gap on Ethan there a little bit, and William was really good. So, William might have passed us both there, but we got the yellow. Jordan took 2, went down there 3 wide. I got clear to the lead. The top was kind of what you wanted there, since we weren't trying to stretch the run, and I don't know. I could have picked the top into 3. I decided I wanted the bottom. The top didn't feel as great in 3 and 4 as it did in 1 and 2. So I ultimately decided the bottom and thought if I could just get clear, I could slide up in front of him. Never got clear. I'm glad we didn't wreck. We net coded a little bit there off of 4 because I was trying to run him really tight, and we were able to get away from each other. More so me away from him, because he didn't have a whole bunch of way to go there. I was really crowding him. But it was a great race. They ran a great race. He was in the top 3 all night long. William looked like he was the guy to beat. And Ethan, man, I know he had his troubles early, but he came right back. So it's, tell you, Ethan's not going to go away. We're up here. Jay got him a win. Hopefully it was a good show for you guys. It was a lot of fun to drive the car, the green flag stop, and whatnot. So.
Yeah, it was definitely a good time for us up in the booth. We got to watch William White do a phenomenal job out there tonight. Unfortunately for him, does not get a podium finish, but comes home 4th like you mentioned, Ethan Stanley had his early troubles and had to work his way back through, comes home third. So I guess he came home second, but the positive out of that is you beat Ethan Stanley, so you're able to extend your points lead on him exiting the race tonight. Not much, but able to extend a little bit. So I guess that's a bit of a silver lining. But going back to the last lap, you mentioned, you could have run the top a little bit. Is that the only thing you think you could have done differently to try to hold off Jay Kaner at the end?
Yeah, I think, and not even the top. Like, once I made the decision to run kind of the middle in 1 and 2, we got loose off of 2, and that hurt some of the momentum down the backstretch. And I had to make a decision down the backstretch about what lane. I had time. I seen the run coming. So I knew, I had to make a decision. You don't want to block in these cars because you get wrecked. They drive right up under each other. So I wasn't trying to go, to throw a block or make a late move. I wanted to show him that this is where I was going to be. And I ultimately decided to bottom. But what I probably should have done is what I did to take the lead from Ethan when he got back there underneath me after we made that 3 wide maneuver. I did it on the bottom in 3 and 4, and then I ran the top to protect, and he couldn't pass me. So I probably should have just ran the top, committed to the top in 1 and 2, and Jay probably wouldn't have had that big run down the backstretch. But hindsight's 2020. I did what I thought was right at the time, and we'll take second. It was great. It was a great battle. Like I said, I'm glad that we didn't wreck off of 4 because I was trying to crowd him as much as I could, and we net coded a little bit, and I was able to get away from him. It was ultimately a great race. Ethan, like I said, he came right back. William was. Tell you what, for like 3/4 of that race, I didn't think anybody was going to run with that 43 car tonight. It was some vintage Casey Kane stuff there from the mid to late 2000s.
I absolutely agree.
Driving away.
I absolutely agree. He looked really good out there. He was Wyatt's pick to win tonight, and it didn't work out for him. But probably some announcer jinx, so we'll blame Wyatt there for William. But just looking ahead to next week at Kentucky, how are you feeling about that racetrack?
Another mile and a half should be a good race. I know tonight we had more yellows than usual, but I can't stress enough. I was hanging on to the car, so a lot of looseness there on the start. The very first lap, half the field got loose out of 2. I was able to miss it, but I did get into the back of Mark. I'm glad he spun and did okay. And then I also want to apologize to Jay there. He came around to do his celebration, and he was wrecked because I turned him in 3 and 4, just trying to give him a little tap and congratulate him. I was in the process of telling him over the mic, congratulations, trying to give him a little bump there. And these cars just drive right up underneath.
I thought you were just mad that you finished second again.
No, I was trying to, Jay's the guy that I've raced with for a long time. It was a lot of fun battling him, a lot of fun with those guys. 24 was up there. I know he ultimately had some trouble there and got caught up in something, but he was good. I hated to see the teammate, I guess, Cash James there. He had himself a bad run. He was running pretty sporty and ultimately disconnected running in the top 10. So
yeah, he was bummed on that. But Chris, just before we let you go, anyone you want to give a shout out to? Anyone you want to thank?
Yeah, I want to give a shout out to you guys up here. You and Wyatt do a great job with this race. Hopefully it was an exciting finish for you guys. Shout out to Jay getting a win there. It was a lot of fun to come down to the end, racing with him and Ethan and William White. This points battle is going to come right down to the end. I'll give a shout out to everybody back at Lake Norman. Shout out to everybody at Pit Pass Network. I think a lot of guys were watching tonight. Cash and yourself, do a lot of stuff over there at Pit Pass Network. You guys are the one who put the whole deal together. So shout out to everybody over there who's watching. Shout out to Kendall Noah Player. KMP Graphics does a great job. The scheme looks great. And did I hit Lake Norman? Shout out there by Lake Norman. Fody, I know he's been sick, hasn't been able to talk, couldn't talk last night. We'll see if he can talk tomorrow night. And yes, I'm going to go ahead and say he'll be top 3 tomorrow night in some way, shape, or form. So he'll have to talk tomorrow night. So hopefully he's getting better. And on to the next one. A shout out to everybody at Elite, Chad for all he does. And, of course, Dave Huckleberry, none of these broadcasts. I know from sitting on your side of it with you, Robert, there on Monday nights, Dave does an awful lot to keep us looking good. So
absolutely. Huck is one of the best in the business. And Chris, you're going to get a win eventually, man. It's got to happen, right? So congratulations to you on another podium finish and, of course, the points lead. And we'll see you tomorrow night at Martinsville in the Cup Series.
All right, guys. Have a good one.
That was Chris Wright, our perennial second-place finisher here at Wyatt. And finally, standing by with you is our race winner, Jay Kaner.
Jay, it's Wyatt in the booth, man. How you feeling?
Pretty good. Been a long time coming. Mostly just happy I could put together a full race here in the last couple of weeks.
Absolutely. I mean, hey, you started on the pole tonight, showed good short run speed, showed some pretty good speed throughout the run. You you kind of got down with about 10 to go. We got a caution, and you fought your way up past Ethan Stanley, got outside of Chris Wright on the final lap, and was able to pull it off by 100th of a second, man. How does that feel?
Pretty good. I was at the end there pretty content running fourth. Was cutting it really close on fuel. I didn't realize I didn't even take fuel on that last stop with the new fuel block that they have set up. We were like zero point 0.8 of a lap good to the good if that would have went green. So the last caution definitely helped. But yeah, just with nobody out front in the beginning, just mismanaged my tires and then gave that little bit of a gap to William there. And through those green flag pit stops, the way everything worked out with that caution, I was pretty content where I was and didn't think that we were going to be able to pull that off there.
Well, hey, man, you ended up surprising, I think, everybody watching here tonight because, at the end of the race, we saw the 43, the 42, and the 91, and we're like, and then Jordan Owen staying out on two tires, of course. And then all of a sudden, the final few laps, it's like, oh, there's Jay Kaner. And then you came home with the win. But talk to me about with the iRacing change in the build and the new stuff in the sim. How did the car handle tonight? It looked like a lot of people were getting loose, especially on the short run. How did you feel about it?
Yeah, it seemed like a pretty odd setup. It was it was really tight off throttle. It was pretty neutral if you were just letting it roll, and then it was really loose as soon as you got back into it. So it was tough on the short runs to manage the right front because if you just overdrove it a little bit, you just lost the right front. So that second run there, I really tried getting out of it early and just letting part throttling it, letting the car roll on the right rear and try to wear the tires a little more even than I did in that first run there. And like I said, we pitted, I think 3 or 4 laps before Ethan did, and just those couple laps made a difference on that restart. And like I said, I was content getting a whole race in and running in fourth. My luck the last few weeks in Elite here has been dismal, so we were pretty content right there. And tires at the end there, and honestly the mistake of not getting fuel probably saved me because I was able to drive the top really, really hard without it getting loose. And I didn't even realize I made that mistake until coming to the white flag. It reminded me that I had 2 laps of fuel left. So that was a mistake to the good.
Absolutely, man. It's always good. I always say I'd rather be lucky than good any day. Unfortunately, I typically am never either one of those. But seems like luck was on your side today. And you had the speed and the performance throughout the whole race. So congratulations. Before we let you go, though, do you have anybody you want to shout out?
Yeah, just everybody I do this with every week. Brandon Ultra, Jesse Rasmus, he's on a little vacation there, and Tyler Higgins was in the 07 tonight, and he hopefully be moving up to the Xfinity cars with us next season. And that's pretty much it. No sponsors or anything. We just do this on the side for fun. So.
Absolutely, and that's the best part of it, man. But congratulations, Jay, on winning here tonight. First win in the ARCA series, the Pit Pass ARCA series in Elite Racing League, and I hope we see you up here more often, man.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, thanks to Elite and Pit Pass and everybody else that sponsors these series. We have a lot of fun with them. We run the Xfinity cars in these, and then any Tuesday night thing they do, and work doesn't let me at least run any of the other ones, but it's definitely fun, especially when everything goes right.
Absolutely. Well, congratulations, Jay. That is your winner, everybody, Jay Kaner.
Well, Wyatt, that was Jay Kaner, as you mentioned, his second Elite victory here. He did pick one up in another series previously, but congrats to Jay. Of course, always nice seeing some different faces taking victory, and I do want to give another quick shout out to Jay. Yesterday night was his 100th career Elite start in the Grand National Series that took place at Iowa, so kudos to him on that victory. And actually looking back, It has been over 2 years since Jay Kaner was victorious in Elite, last taking victory January 12th, 2021 in the Street Stock Series at Lanier. So congrats to Jay. Always nice seeing some new faces back in victory lane after quite a while away. And one thing I want to point out, Wyatt, we are race 7 of the series tonight. Jay Kaner is our 6th different winner in the series. The only repeat winner is Ethan Stanley with 2 victories. Otherwise, it's been a whole bunch of different winners, which is awesome. Obviously, Ethan Stanley took the opener at Kansas. Nick Indelicato took Michigan. Ethan took Montreal in round number 3. Then it was Joey Chapman at Daytona, Latham Joyner at Richmond, and Hunter Smith at Nashville Superspeedway. And of course, tonight, Jay Kaner. So that is pretty darn awesome. But final thoughts from you, Wyatt, before we head off here from the Charlotte 150.
Yeah, I think I want to just thank everybody who is a part of this ARCA series. You know, on track, we're seeing it every week. The racing etiquette, the competition is high among all these guys, but these guys are racing clean. They're not getting in over their heads. They're not making dumb decisions regularly. And we're seeing some really good, fun, clean racing because of it. I want to thank all the guys in this series for doing that. It makes it very easy to commentate. No filler material unless necessary and fun. But, you know, yeah, that's the main takeaways I want to get away 7 races in the season.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And, you know, before we head off tonight, of course, I have to thank TA Services, Blue Egg Marketing, and Worldwide Technology Raceway, as well as pitpassnetwork.com. Again, check them out for all your NASCAR needs. Thanks to Chad Frankenfield for running the league. Thanks to John Cutlip, our race controller. Thanks to you. Thanks to Josh Personette for being part of our administrative team in the series. A lot of work goes on behind the scenes. You know, we're trying to get everything together for season 2, which we hope to have a schedule out maybe by next week at Kentucky. Not too sure yet, but we'll definitely have it out before April 4th's race at Phoenix, which is our penultimate race of the series. But another quick shout out has to definitely go out to Dave Huckleberry for all the work he does for Elite Racing Network behind the scenes. Very underappreciated, and a lot of it goes unnoticed by the blind eye, but from us here at ERN, we definitely notice Dave and everything he does. And of course, you, the fans at home, for tuning in. We couldn't do this without you guys, and all the drivers appreciate it. We appreciate it, and we hope that you'll tune in tomorrow night as the JoinAPS.com Cup Series heads to Martinsville Speedway, 8 p.m. Tune in. Dave Huckleberry, Alex Ned on the call for that one. Wyatt and I will be in the field, but that'll just about do it for us here tonight in the Charlotte 150. My name is Robert Hill Jr. That is, of course, Wyatt Knadle, and this has been a presentation of the Elite Racing Network. Good night, everybody.